Fruitful Living with Sissel Anderson. Here on Morning Joy, where truth matters.
Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and continuing almost the same kind of topic. We're all about relationships and not forcing ones that God does not want for us. Good morning, Sissel.
Good morning, Keith. It is great to be with you.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah. This is a very interesting topic, and I'm curious to know what, from your perspective, of what you mean by the ones that, or forcing ones, relationships that God doesn't want for us.
Yeah, well, it's going to start with a story, big surprise. I feel like a lot of things in my life just constitute into great stories to talk about things, and it teaches me a lot of things in life. So a few weeks ago, my roommates and I and a friend were out thrift shopping for clothing. But when we walked into the thrift store, right at the front was a fantastic armchair. Really nice looking armchair, great condition. And I was like, man, that would look so good in our front room. We've been looking for a chair. But we went about our day, did our thrift shopping. And as I was leaving, I was like, I got to look at this one more time. And so I thought, let me just ask them how much it was, because there's no price tag on it. And when I was told it was $14.99, I was like, yeah, you're coming home with us.
Absolutely.
Problem, we were in a sedan. 4 women in a sedan. And our friend was with us, was in a Camaro. It was very bad planning on that, because we weren't planning on getting a armchair. But we were bound and determined to get this armchair home. So we tried putting it in the trunk. And needless to say, that was hanging out quite a bit and was not a safe option. And then we tried putting the seats down in the middle part of the car and shoving that armchair in, and it really just wouldn't go. But thought, okay, what if we go from the front seat? Let's put the back of this front passenger seat in, and maybe if we just pivot it just enough and shove it in. And we looked really silly for about 30 minutes outside of the thrift store in the middle of the day. 5 women trying to shove an armchair into a car that is really not made for this. Finally had to break down, call for backup, and get a Honda Pilot to come. And we lifted that thing up, put all the seats down, and it just slid right in, no problem. Closed the trunk, drove home. And you're like, okay, Cecil, that's a, cute story. Where are we coming in with this? But it just made me think, and I'm coming at this from a woman's perspective, because that's the perspective I have and the one I've experienced. But we have a tendency of maybe seeing a guy that we were interested in and doing everything in our power to make it happen. And God is saying everything like, hey, I don't think this is the one for you. But we're going to do everything in our power, and it's really rough. And maybe we could have gotten that, the relationship could have worked. We could have gotten that armchair home in that car. We could have bungeed it in and taken it really slow, and it would have been bumpy and stressful. But yeah, sure, we could have made it work. But when we had the proper car, the car that was good for this, how easy it was to slide that chair in, and how it didn't take this big stress, this big effort. And I'm not saying that relationships don't take effort. I'm not saying that they're not difficult in their moments, but it shouldn't be that difficult to get into a relationship with someone if you're interested in them and they're interested in you. It shouldn't be that much of a struggle. It shouldn't be. And that kind of, again, God will allow us to get into these relationships. Sometimes he will allow us. We have free will. But he might be going, I don't think this is a good idea. I'm telling you, this is not a good idea. But okay, you can do it. But how much better it would be if we were getting into a relationship that didn't take all of that effort. I don't know if you've ever heard of people talking about this, but I think it's a bigger problem these days too. I think a lot of women get very, maybe get attached to a guy, and I've been there. So I'm saying this from personal experience, and I'm just like, please, Lord, I think this guy is it. I really want this to work. Let me do everything in my power to make it work. Let me put myself in front of him all the time. Let me do wave a flag, being like, hello, I'm interested. But he wasn't the guy, because he wasn't doing the effort that he needed to, make it work. And so if you have some really unfortunate situations where you come to realize that, and you don't want to realize that, you hold on to it for a very long time. I don't know if you've ever experienced this in past relationships, or if you've heard of other people, friends as well.
Well, yeah, I remember back when I was in the dating realm, just especially when I knew what I wanted at that point, like I wanted a Catholic woman, that really kind of, you almost had that like, oh, this woman's great, but maybe she's not, like she's a practicing Catholic, or maybe she's not Catholic, and like you're trying to like kind of fit that into like, well, there's not that many great people out there. Ooh. And so, yeah, I can totally see myself back in the day trying to like push that proverbial couch into the sedan. But that of course that never works out. And then finally it took me just letting go and getting God, basically, and letting God to help find my spouse.
I've been, interested in guys and like very interested in like really, really wanting it to happen. And, again, it felt like a great effort to try to even make anything happen. But then I've also been asked out and pursued by guys who were putting the work in and were pursuing me. And the complete difference of how that feels is huge. It's a very big thing. And I think women, we get scared sometimes because we're like, oh, this is a guy I feel like I could be comfortable with. I really enjoy his company and I think this could work. And so we get attached to that. And then it makes it really hard for us to see that there could be someone else, that God has someone out there better for us. Again, we're all human. We all are going to have our rough spots. Doesn't mean that the start of a relationship is going to be perfect. It's not going to be, a little fumbling because everyone's figuring out life. But what it shouldn't be like, trying to, loosen something that's so tightly wound, or trying to shove an armchair into a sedan. It shouldn't be that difficult, from both sides of if both people are desiring and both people are putting the work in, it shouldn't be that hard. And so I've had to, because you're kind of like, well, okay, that might sound all fine and nice, but I still really want this relationship. Well, what do you do? And I've had to very honestly pour my heart out to God, bring God into it, and just say, listen, I'm going to be honest right now. I want this. I really, really want this. So, Lord, either you move the mountains and make this happen. You do the work. You make this happen. You change the situation. Make it happen, because I know you can. He can. Or you make it abundantly clear to me that this is not it. Make it so clear to me. Don't let me have any doubt, because I don't think my heart could take that doubt. I don't think I could handle what if maybe the situation just wasn't quite right? Maybe it just wasn't the right timing. Make it very clear to me. And then also help me to be able to understand and comprehend that. Like, not to just still kind of try to find a way around it, but help me to really be accepting of what your will is. And he has always come through on that. He has come through very clearly on that. And it just, in ways I would never expect. I'm like, oh, either my mind shift has shifted and I kind of like, I don't know why I ever was interested in this guy, or my mind shift is like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't get into a relationship with this guy. Whatever it may be. And then he could also move the mountains and make it work. He could do that if that was truly his will. But I think it's really important that we take it off of ourselves, the pressure off of ourselves, and say, God, this is yours. Please show me the way. Please do what you do. And let me stay out of it, because when I get involved, I'm trying to shove an armchair into a sedan and it doesn't go well for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like this is just another added benefit of being a Christian, or even a Catholic at that, because if you didn't have that close relationship with God through prayer, like I can't even imagine what it would be like trying to pursue an individual, a woman, and not have that like structure, that firm ground of faith. And knowing like, okay, this person's not for me. I'm just going off on a hunch here. I don't know. But like having that faith with and that relationship with our Lord, it's helped me tremendously. But yeah, in the dating aspect, my goodness. Yeah, and Debbie and Adam were talking a lot about relationships in their last segment, and they said something along the lines about how we often have a sense of maybe some issues that a person has very early on in the relationship, but we take it through to marriage, and you're like, oh, I thought this might go away. It's kind of a similar thing where if you see warning signs, like when you're interested in a guy or you're pursuing a girl, whatever it may be, and you recognize that those may not go away, and those might be part of your relationship forever. And again, we all come in with baggage. We all come in with whatever those sins that we're carrying and working through. But
there are certain things that are not good for a relationship at all. So to be mindful of that. And we also often sometimes build up in our heads exactly what we think we are looking for. And it doesn't have to be necessarily wrong or bad, but we have like, oh, I have to have this, this, and this in a guy or a girl. And we sometimes have it mixed up, or maybe God will show us that actually what we're desiring, maybe even through those kind of failed situationships or relationships, like saying, oh, okay, I thought this was what I wanted, but what I actually need and desire is something else.
Yeah, and just kind of going back, you mentioned Debbie and Adam's conversation. I was kind of blown away by this factoid that Adam dropped. You don't really truly know the person until year 5 of marriage.
I was like, that's crazy. So how can we then, when we're just starting to get into a relationship, be like, 1000%. God, I'm telling you right now, this is the person right now. Even like particularly before a relationship, being like, I'm telling you, I got to end up with this person. And God's like, well, okay. Like, well, I'll let you have at it.
That's right. Well, I mean, then that goes back to the whole faith thing. Like, at a certain point, you have to have faith. Like, this is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And once again, I don't know how you would be able to really have that confidence if you didn't have a relationship with God.
Yeah. No, you would not be able to. So I just give encouragement to, because I know I needed to hear this many times, growing in the teen and young adult years of, listen, if the guy wanted to, he would, and it wouldn't be a huge effort on your part and a big struggle. So I just encourage you all to be very honest with God with what you desire, and allow him and be open to him changing those desires, and also showing you what his will is.
Yeah. Well said. Well, thank you so much, Sissel. We will have to tune in on Friday at 1 p.m. Central on GRN Online YouTube. That's because you're the producer for Back to the Father. Be joined by Dave Palmer, talking all things with St. Thomas Aquinas and the Summa. Very exciting stuff. Thank you again. And that is it for the first hour of Morning Joy. Now, if you are unable to stick around with us right after this short break, we'll also have the second hour ready to go for you, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube and Rumble. So for those leaving right now, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. And don't forget, make it a joyful day. If you're staying with us, hang tight. In the second hour, we're going to be talking with author Scott Smith. It's going to be a great conversation on near-death experiences. But tomorrow at this time on Morning Joy, Alan Smith is going to be joining us on Bishop Sheen Today. Good stuff. But hey, we're going to jump over to a quick break. We'll see you on the other side on Morning Joy.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.